Hey friends, welcome back. In this video, I'm recapping the 2025 horror crime film Ed Kemper, a movie based on the real-life story of one of America's most disturbing serial killers. This isn't just fiction. It's inspired by the true crimes of Edmund Kemper. Let's get started. The story begins on August 27, 1964, in California. An elderly man is seen returning home with groceries. As he reaches his porch, he calls out to his grandson, Edmund. But instead of a warm greeting, Ed appears with a gun and shoots his grandfather dead. He then calmly walks inside, and we see he's already murdered his grandmother too. After that, Ed calls his mother. With an eerie calmness, he tells her what he's done, informing her that he killed his grandparents, and that he only did what he believed she had always wanted. Following the horrifying murders, Edmund, just 15 at the time, is sent to a psychiatric hospital. Years pass, and then on December 18, 1969, his 21st birthday, he's released back into the world. His psychiatrist assures him that the dark thoughts and hallucinations he used to experience are gone. The doctor explains that the demon Ed once used to see will no longer appear. Relieved, Ed thanks him and leaves, but Ed has nowhere to go, so he returns to his mother's house. When she opens the door, she pretends like she doesn't care. And Ed? He's not even surprised. She's never cared. She mentions there's beer in the fridge if he's hungry. Ed replies that he isn't. In his room, everything is exactly as he left it. His mother, mentally unstable and emotionally cold, spends her days drinking and smoking, showing no concern for her son. While they're talking, her friend shows up. She tells Ed to lie for her and say she's getting ready. She disappears into her room, leaving Ed to entertain the guest. The woman seems happy to see Ed and tells him that she and his mother are heading out to party. Once they're gone, Ed drifts back into memory. He remembers how his father left one day, saying he was going to the city to settle. But he never came back. That abandonment shattered his mother, who became mentally worse. And from then on, anytime Ed made a mistake, she locked him in the basement. Down there, he met someone. Not a person, a demon. An imaginary friend who whispered horrible ideas into Ed's young, fragile mind. This friend wasn't real, but Ed believed in him. And over time, he changed Ed into something darker. The next morning, Ed's mother laughs at him while he's asleep. She tells him he should get a job and earn some money. In the kitchen, while eating, Ed remembers how he used to kill cats as a kid. His mother warns him not to even think about doing anything like that again. They argue. Ed believes she never cared for him. His mother deep down regrets it, but never shows it. Months pass. Ed still doesn't have a job. Tension between him and his mother grows. She begins to worry about his behavior. One night at a bar, she confesses to her friend how she used to feel sick just looking at Ed when he was a child. She says he always did disturbing things, which is why she kept him locked in the basement. Even now, she admits, something about him still feels terrifying. Her friend tries to reassure her and tells her not to worry, that her son will be fine. Meanwhile, Ed is with a friend, listening to a murder podcast on the radio. The friend jokes about wishing he knew what it feels like to kill someone. Ed calmly responds by saying that he does. He had killed both his grandparents. The friend laughs, assuming it's just a dark joke, but Ed remembers. Being locked in the basement, alone, except for that demon, his only companion, always whispering violent thoughts. Later that night, Ed is watching his favorite movie. He's obsessed with the lead actor. His mother walks in and mentions that the actor is her favorite too, even saying that if he ever proposed to her, she wouldn't say no. Ed snaps. He brings up her 3 failed marriages and implies that she still isn't satisfied. She grows angry and scolds him for speaking so disrespectfully. Ed retaliates, claiming that her behavior is the reason all 3 husbands left, because none of them truly loved her. She hits back with the bitter truth, saying that Ed himself is the real problem, and that her life started falling apart from the moment he was born. The fight ends. Ed storms into his room and falls asleep, while his mother breaks down in silence, lost in smoke, alcohol, and loneliness. The story now jumps to the year 1972. 2 young women are seen walking along a road, trying to get somewhere. A car suddenly pulls over in front of them. Behind the wheel is Ed. He asks where they're headed, and when he hears they're going into the city, he casually offers them a ride, saying he's going that way too. He seems polite and harmless, so the girls agree and get in. As they chat, Ed learns that they're on their way to meet a boyfriend. But soon, the conversation turns tense. Ed begins taking unfamiliar turns. The girls grow anxious. Something doesn't feel right. Suddenly, Ed pulls into a desolate area and stops the car. Without warning, he pulls out a gun and points it at them. The girls scream in terror. He threatens to shoot if they make any noise. The girl in the backseat is dragged out first and shoved violently into the trunk. The second girl is forced to lie face down on the seat. Moments later, Ed pulls out a knife and plunges it straight into her chest, killing her instantly. He doesn't stop there. He murders the second girl too, then proceeds to cut their bodies into pieces. He even photographs their remains, keeping the pictures for his own twisted pleasure. Later, Ed returns home, looking through the gruesome photos. But just then, his mother walks into the room. He quickly hides the evidence. Trying to show some affection, he hands her a letter, something that says he misses her. She reads it and immediately throws it in the trash. She coldly announces that she's going on another trip. Ed watches in silence, crushed. Moments later, she locks herself in the bathroom and breaks down in tears. Even she doesn't understand why she treats her own son this way. That night, Ed falls asleep watching a movie. By morning, he's driving his mother somewhere in the car. During the drive, she casually mentions how women have been disappearing in the city lately. Ed hears her but says nothing. We're then shown an Asian girl sitting alone by the roadside, waiting for a bus. Ed spots her as he drives by. He pulls over and asks what she's doing alone. The girl tells him she's been waiting for the bus for a long time, and the heat is unbearable. Ed tells her it's not safe. Many girls have gone missing recently. He offers to drop her off at the next bus stop. The girl, a bit hesitant but trusting, agrees and gets into the car. In the next scene, Ed is seen driving her to a remote location. Once isolated, he attacks, beating her until she's unconscious. Then, he drags her out of the car and begins assaulting her. But midway through, he realizes she's still alive, so he grabs her throat and strangles her to death. What follows is horrifying. We're shown how Ed carried out the act. He took the girl to an empty, isolated place. She seemed unaware of the danger, so much so that when he was tearing off the tape to gag her, she joked that it was too small for her mouth. But Ed went ahead, gagged her, showed her the gun, and forced her into the back seat. When he stepped out of the car, he realized he had left the gun inside, yet the girl hadn't even tried to pick it up. Instead, she had simply unlocked the door. Ed grabbed the gun again, overpowered her, and beat her unconscious. Later, he dismembered her body into several pieces, just like the others. That night, Ed's mother and her friend were sitting together, looking through some old photographs. As they flipped through memories, the mood shifted. Her friend suggested they move to the bedroom, but Ed's mother hesitated. Her son lived here too, and she feared he might judge them if he found out. This sparked a sudden argument between the two women. Her friend reminded her of a similar fight they had during their last vacation, one that ruined the entire trip. She admitted she didn't have the energy to deal with it again, so she decided to leave. As she was walking out, she ran into Ed. She quietly warned him that his mother was in a terrible mood and that he should avoid speaking to her. Instead, she advised him to just head to his room and sleep. Before leaving, she noticed that Ed's car trunk was still open. When he tried to close it, the lid wouldn't budge. She asked if he needed help, but Ed snapped, angrily told her to leave. What she didn't know was that inside the trunk lay the corpse of the girl he had killed earlier. Meanwhile, Ed returned to the house. His mother casually asked if he'd found a job today. Ed, with a sinister calmness, claimed he said he'd assaulted a girl, chopped her body into pieces, and that the smell was so bad, he needed a shower. His mother was stunned. For a moment, she couldn't tell whether he was joking or confessing something real. A chilling thought crossed her mind. What if her son truly was capable of such horrors? The next day, Ed was summoned to court. The case was regarding the murder of his grandparents years ago. Ed stated he was mentally ill at the time. The court accepted the claim and declared him legally free. He walked out smiling, unbothered, unrepentant, and in the trunk of his car, the girl's corpse still remained. Years passed. Now it was 1973. While driving, Ed picked up another girl, and like before, she didn't survive. Back home, Ed's mother had grown more suspicious. She visited the church and confessed to the priest that her son had become strange. She admitted that he once told her he'd assaulted a girl, and with all the news about missing women in the city, she feared he might actually be involved. The priest suggested she bring Ed to the church. he would speak to the boy himself. But Ed was far from stopping. His spree continued. One day, he picked up 2 university girls traveling along the same route. He offered them a ride, but once they reached an isolated road, Ed pulled out a gun and shot both of them on the spot. He didn't stop there. He dismembered their bodies, cutting off their arms, legs, and even their heads. Then he brought the torso of one girl back home and violated her corpse. That night, his mother heard strange noises from his room. When she checked in, Ed insisted he was asleep and nothing was happening. She sensed something wasn't right, but couldn't prove it. The next morning, Ed walked into the kitchen, wearing torn underwear. His mother burst out laughing. For the first time in years, they laughed together, and for a moment, Ed felt something he rarely did: connection. His mother then told him she was taking him to church, but Ed had other thoughts. In his mind, he believed he was the devil, and the devil couldn't step into holy ground. He told her he wouldn't go today, maybe the day after. But deep down, he sensed that she had started suspecting him. Paranoia and rage took over. He rushed to his room, took out the dismembered remains of the girl, and once again violated the corpse. After that, Ed targeted another girl. Just like before, he killed her, dismembered the body, and dumped her arms and legs into the ocean. Days later, the police discovered body parts washed up on the shore. The news spread like wildfire. When Ed's mother saw the report, suspicion grew stronger in her mind. She couldn't ignore it anymore, so she went straight into his room and began searching for clues. But she found nothing concrete. Moments later, Ed walked in, catching her red-handed. He asked what she was doing in his room. She confronted him, asking if he was the one killing those girls. Ed denied it coldly. Tension exploded. They argued again. Furious, Ed stormed out of the house. Left alone, his mother opened one of his drawers and found a letter addressed to her. As she read it, she broke down in tears. Looking at herself in the mirror, she finally realized the truth. She had failed him. She had never given him the love a mother should. Meanwhile, Ed drove aimlessly through the city. Flashes of all his victims haunted him. He pulled over in front of a garage, overwhelmed with guilt, rage, and confusion. In that fragile moment, his mind conjured up the image of his favorite actor, a twisted version of Comfort, telling him what he needed to do next. He had to finish it. He had to kill his mother. That night, while she was fast asleep, Ed crept into her room and struck her in the head with a hammer. She died instantly. He then chopped up her body, fed the pieces into a shredder, erasing all traces of her existence. He brought her severed head into his room and violated it in the most disturbing way. The next morning, her friend arrived at the house. She sensed something was off when Ed's mother didn't answer. Before she could react, Ed grabbed her from behind, snapped her neck, and killed her too. But even after that, Ed didn't stop. He continued to prey on young women, one after another. Then one day, something changed. It hit him. What was he doing? Overwhelmed by everything he'd done, he finally picked up the phone and called the police. He confessed everything, told them he wanted to surrender. Authorities rushed to his location and arrested him. During interrogation, a psychiatrist was brought in. He asked Ed a few questions. Calmly, Ed told him everything: how he killed, why he did it, and how he felt. But as the session ended, the psychiatrist pressed the button to call the guard. It didn't work. They were alone. Trapped. Ed looked up and grinned. Said he felt like killing one more person. Right here. Right now. The psychiatrist froze. Fear took over. Sweat rolled down his face. Ed leaned in and said, "I've killed so many women already. What's one more?" Just as the tension peaked, an officer unlocked the door. Ed leaned back, smiled, and said, "Relax, I was just kidding." And with that, this chilling story comes to an end. Edmund Kemper wasn't a shadowy figure lurking in the dark. He was smart, articulate, calm, and yet he committed some of the most gruesome murders in American history. He killed 10 people, including his own mother. And when it was over, he called the police, walked them through every detail, like it was just a story. Experts say his rage wasn't random. It was focused. Years of emotional abuse, rejection, and isolation, all building up to something horrifying. What makes Ed Kemper truly terrifying is that he didn't look like a killer. He looked normal. And that's the warning. Evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it wears a smile. Stay aware, Take mental health seriously and trust your instincts. They just might save your life.